Have you ever stopped to think about how we treat others when we're feeling down? When we're angry or upset, it's easy to lash out, right? But here's the thing. When we hurt someone else, it often shows that we're not in a good place ourselves. People who are truly happy, who are at peace with themselves, don't go around making others suffer. They just don't. It's the ones who are struggling, who are in pain, or maybe even wrestling with their own internal demons that can sometimes lash out and hurt others. Now, when we do hurt someone, we have to stop and think, who are we hurting, really? Is this person some kind of monster, or are they like us, just someone who's dealing with their own problems? When we label someone as evil or bad and act out of anger, we're usually forgetting that people have layers. Sure, they may have done something wrong, but that doesn't mean they're inherently a bad person. Think about it. Even the people who hurt us might have had their own experiences and struggles that led them to act that way. They might have done things in the past that were wrong, sure, but they could also have been caring, loving people at some point. And who knows, maybe in the future, they'll change and be someone better. So when we try to destroy someone because of their mistakes, we're not just harming them, we're harming ourselves too. If we can't see the potential good in others, if we can't look beyond their mistakes and see the human being underneath, then we're missing something really important. We're missing the chance to heal, both ourselves and them. And if we're still stuck on wanting to destroy them, then maybe we need to check in with ourselves. Why are we so angry? What does it say about us if we can't let go of the desire to hurt someone else? When we attack others in the name of justice or truth, we have to be really careful. We're opening a door to darkness. We're inviting negativity into our hearts and souls. And when that happens, it doesn't matter how right we think we are, because we've already lost something inside of us. When we lose our ability to be kind, when we forget to see the good in people, we're no longer really in a position to be the ones pointing fingers. We can't claim to be the truth tellers if we're not first coming from a place of honesty within ourselves. We have to be responsible for the energy we put out into the world. If we're constantly feeding into negativity, that energy will grow and it will come back to us in ways we might not even realize. This isn't just about being right, it's about being human, about being compassionate, even when others have wronged us. Imagine a world where we could disagree, where we could see others make mistakes and still hold space for their potential to change. Wouldn't that be something? Instead of constantly dividing ourselves into good and bad, we could focus on lifting each other up, helping each other grow, even when we mess up along the way. As the Buddha said, there are no inherently evil people, just bad actions. So when we're attacking someone, when we're criticizing them or trying to tear them down, we need to remember that they're still human. They still have the ability to be good. We all do. If we were close to them, if we truly understood their circumstances, we'd likely feel much more compassion for them. The people we love, the people who are dear to us, are the ones we are most forgiving towards, right? So why can't we extend that same grace to others, even when they've made mistakes? That's the real test of our character. Can we show mercy, even to those who have wronged us? If we only judge someone by their worst moments, if we decide to destroy them based on their mistakes, we're forgetting that they are more than just those actions. The things they've done wrong don't define them completely. If we only focus on their failures, we are essentially writing them off. And what happens when we do that? We lose sight of their potential for change, of their ability to grow into a better person. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. Maybe you've made a mistake in the past that you regret, but no one should define you by that one moment forever. The same goes for others. So, instead of seeking to tear people down, let's think about how we can help them, how we can support their growth. After all, We don't want others to judge us by our lowest points, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Justice has its place. People who do harm, who cause pain to others, should be held accountable. But there's a difference between holding someone accountable and seeking their destruction. Justice is about balance, about making things right. It's not about vengeance. It's not about making someone pay in a way that leaves them with nothing. Justice should heal, not hurt. So let's ask ourselves, what kind of world are we creating when we seek to destroy others, when we want to make them suffer because of their mistakes? If we constantly react out of anger, if we let our frustrations drive us to lash out, we only add to the chaos. It's like we're throwing gasoline on a fire and then wondering why everything's burning. Instead of reacting, let's step back and reflect. Let's look at the bigger picture. Every single person has something worth protecting, something worth fighting for. We all have value, no matter what mistakes we've made. If we can approach others with that mindset, we can begin to create a society where people are allowed to be human, flawed, yes, but still capable of change. The famous line from Jesus comes to mind, "He who is without sin, let him cast the first stone." If we're all being honest with ourselves, none of us is perfect. We've all fallen short. And when we remember that we're all in this together, maybe we can find a better way to navigate our differences. But that requires patience, it requires compassion, and it requires a willingness to see the humanity in everyone, even when they're at their lowest. That's how we move forward. That's how we heal. Continuing with this idea, let's think about how we respond when someone does wrong. It's tempting to want to lash out, right? But we need to remember something very important. How we respond will not only affect the person we're interacting with, but will also affect us in the long run. We can't keep playing this game of who's right versus who's wrong if we want to create real change in the world. Think about how easy it is to fall into a cycle of judgment, anger, and retaliation. It's so easy to get caught up in our emotions and want to make someone else feel the pain we're feeling. But that's just feeding into the problem. If we want peace, we need to start looking beyond the surface level, beyond the immediate hurt or frustration, and focus on what really matters: healing. If we want to be the kind of people who make a positive difference, we need to learn how to let go of the urge to destroy. Because honestly, when we focus so much on destroying others, whether it's tearing them down in person, online, or even in our thoughts, we're actually eroding our own soul. It's exhausting. It wears us down. Now let's go back to this idea of forgiveness. People often say that forgiveness is for you, not for the person who hurt you. That's the truth. Holding on to resentment, anger, or bitterness is like carrying a heavy weight around. It's like you're letting someone else's actions continue to affect your life even when they're no longer present in it. Why do that to yourself? Why let the negativity control you? This is where true strength lies, in letting go. It's not about pretending what happened didn't hurt. It's not about sweeping things under the rug and acting like nothing's wrong. It's about saying, yeah, that hurt, and I'm going to allow myself to feel that. But I'm also going to choose not to let it define me. I'm going to choose to move forward and not let this situation steal my peace of mind. When you make that decision, you free yourself from the anger and frustration. You don't allow someone else's actions to control your life any longer. That doesn't mean you forget what happened or that you don't hold people accountable, but it means you're not carrying the burden of their negativity with you. That's the freedom we should all be striving for. But you know what else happens when we choose forgiveness? It opens up a space for healing. Not just for us, but for the person we're forgiving. People mess up, and sometimes it's not even because they're bad people. It's because they're going through their own struggles. If we can approach them with understanding instead of judgment, we might just help them grow. And that's where true compassion lies. Understanding that people are complex, that they are not defined by their mistakes. So here's something to think about. What if, instead of responding with anger, we responded with empathy? What if, instead of pointing fingers and casting blame, we extended a hand to help pull someone out of their darkness? This doesn't mean you condone bad behavior, but it means you understand that everyone has a story, and that just like you, they deserve a chance to change. When we approach life with this mindset, it transforms not just how we see others, but how we see ourselves. We become more patient, more kind, more loving. We start to realize that we're all in this together, trying our best to navigate a world that can sometimes be cruel and unforgiving. But we can be different. We can be the ones who break the cycle of anger and pain. We can be the ones who choose to rise above. It's not easy, but it's possible. And when we make that choice, we start to create a ripple effect. That's how change happens. It starts with us, with the way we show up in the world. And it's not just about forgiving others, it's also about forgiving ourselves. So many times we carry around guilt and shame for things we've done in the past. But just like we forgive others, we need to forgive ourselves. We need to give ourselves the grace to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. If we can't forgive ourselves, how can we expect to forgive anyone else? At the end of the day, this all comes down to energy. The energy we put out into the world is the energy that will come back to us. If we're constantly putting out negativity, judgment, and anger, that's what we'll attract. But if we focus on love, forgiveness, and understanding, we start to draw those things into our lives. It's a powerful thing when you think about it. Our thoughts, our actions, and our energy can literally shape our reality. This is why it's so important to be mindful of how we treat others, especially when they've hurt us. We don't want to fall into the trap of responding out of hurt, because that only keeps the cycle of pain going. We want to break that cycle and create a new one that's based on kindness, empathy, and the understanding that we're all doing the best we can with what we've got. So, what does this all come down to? It comes down to choice. Every day we're faced with choices. How we treat others, how we respond to challenges, how we approach the world. We can choose to hold on to anger, to retaliate, and to tear others down. Or we can choose to rise above, to act with love, and to forgive. Not just others, but ourselves too. It's not always easy. We're human after all. But if we want to build a better world, if we want to create a space where people are allowed to grow and evolve, we have to start with ourselves. It's about living with intention, about being mindful of our words, our actions, and our energy. Because the energy we put out into the world is the energy that will come back to us. So next time someone wrongs you, take a deep breath, step back, reflect, and remember, you have the power to choose how you respond. Choose wisely, choose compassion, choose love, because that's how we change the world. Now let's dive a little deeper into what happens when we continue down the path of negativity and judgment. Imagine for a second that we are all walking around carrying these weights, these burdens of judgment, anger, and pain. Every time we hold on to a grudge, every time we seek revenge, we're adding more weight to our own shoulders. And the thing is, we're not just carrying our own negativity, we're also picking up the negativity of everyone around us. When we engage in judgment, when we focus on what's wrong with others, we create a toxic environment. It's like poison in the air. And that poison doesn't just affect the person we're targeting, it affects everyone. It spreads, it contaminates, it turns everything it touches dark and heavy. And we're all walking around breathing it in, thinking it's just part of life. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's a different way to approach life. Instead of focusing on the wrongs of others, we can choose to focus on the right. We can choose to focus on the good, on what we can do to help, to heal, to uplift. Yes, people will mess up. Yes, people will disappoint us, but that's part of being human. It's part of life. And if we can let go of the need to punish them for it, if we can learn to forgive and let go, we not only help them, but we help ourselves. Because here's the thing about holding on to anger and resentment. It eats away at us. It doesn't hurt the person we're angry with. It hurts us. It takes away our peace. It takes away our joy. It keeps us trapped in the past, stuck in a cycle of pain. And as long as we stay in that cycle, we'll never move forward. We'll never heal. But when we let go, when we forgive, not just others, but ourselves as well, we free ourselves from that cycle. We release the hold that negativity has over us. And that's when true healing begins. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but how can I forgive someone who's hurt me so badly? That's a tough one. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing bad behavior. Forgiveness means choosing to let go of the anger, the desire for revenge, the need to make the other person feel pain. It means accepting that what happened is in the past and that we have the power to move forward. It's also important to realize that forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for you. Holding on to anger and resentment only keeps you stuck. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of pain. Forgiveness is the key to unlocking that trap. It's about freeing yourself so that you can move on with your life. And the sooner you forgive, the sooner you'll start to heal. So how do we start? How do we begin this journey of letting go, of forgiving, of healing? It starts with self-awareness. It starts with recognizing that we have the power to control how we react to the world around us. We can't control what others do, but we can control how we respond. And that response can either keep us stuck in the past or help us move forward into a future filled with peace and joy. One of the best ways to start is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about being present in the moment, paying attention to what's happening inside you and around you without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. When we practice mindfulness, we start to realize just how much power we have over our own reactions. We begin to see that we don't have to react with anger or judgment. We can choose to respond with understanding, with compassion, with kindness. But it's not just about mindfulness, it's also about compassion. True compassion is about seeing others as human beings, with their own struggles, their own pain, their own flaws. When we approach others with compassion, we can see beyond their mistakes. We can see that they are just like us, doing the best they can with what they have. And when we see them as human beings, we can begin to treat them with the same kindness and understanding that we would want for ourselves. So here's a challenge for you. The next time someone wrongs you, try to take a step back. Take a deep breath. Try to see things from their perspective and ask yourself, what's really going on here? What's motivating their behavior? What pain are they carrying that's causing them to act this way? By doing this, you'll begin to shift your focus from judgment to understanding. And in doing so, you'll create space for compassion to grow. And this isn't just for others, it's for you too. How often do we judge ourselves? How often do we hold on to guilt or shame for things we've done in the past? How often do we beat ourselves up for mistakes we've made? We're all guilty of it. But just like we need to forgive others, we need to forgive ourselves. We need to let go of the past and accept that we are human. We will make mistakes, but those mistakes don't define us. What defines us is how we choose to move forward. When we forgive ourselves, we give ourselves permission to grow. We give ourselves permission to learn from our mistakes and become better people. And when we forgive others, we give them that same permission. We allow them the space to grow, to change, and to become better people too. Now, I know this all sounds idealistic. It sounds like a perfect world where everyone just forgives and moves on, right? But in reality, it's not always that easy. People will hurt us, people will disappoint us, And sometimes it's hard to let go of that hurt. But if we want to live a life filled with peace, if we want to build a world where people are given the chance to grow and change, we have to start with ourselves. We have to choose to forgive. We have to choose compassion. And we have to choose to heal. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Healing. Healing for ourselves, healing for others, and healing for the world. It's about creating a space where we can all be human, where we can all make mistakes and still be given the chance to grow. And that's the kind of world I want to live in. What about you?